Okay, hey guys. So I'm back with the chapter 4 of this beautiful book called P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern. So the chapter 4 starts with Holly again. So Holly started her Friday morning well by getting up early. However, although she had gone to bed full of optimism and excited about the prospects that lay ahead of her, she was struck afresh by the harsh reality of how difficult every moment would be. Once again, she awoke in an empty bed to a silent house. But there was one small breakthrough. For the first time in over a month, she had woken up without the aid of a telephone call. She adjusted her mind, as she did every morning, to the fact that the dreams of her and Jerry being together, which had lived in her mind for the past 10 hours, were just that, dreams. She showered and dressed comfortably in her favorite blue jeans, trainers, and a baby pink t-shirt. Sharon had been right about her weight. Her once tight jeans were just about staying up with the aid of a belt. She made a face at her reflection in the mirror. She looked ugly. She had black circles under her eyes. Her lips were chapped and chewed, and her hair was a disaster. First thing to do was to go down to her local hairdressers and pray they could squeeze her in. Jesus holy, her stylist Leo exclaimed. Would you look at the state of you? People make way. I have a woman here in a critical condition. He winked at her and proceeded to push people from his butt. He pulled out the chair for her and pushed her into it. Thanks, Leo. I feel really attractive now. Holly muttered, trying to hide her beetroot-colored face. But don't, because you're in beds. Sandra, mix me up the usual, cooling with the foil. Tanya, get me my little bag of tricks from upstairs. Oh, and tell Will not to bother getting us lunch. He's doing my 12 o'clock. Leo ordered everyone around, his hands flailing wildly as though he was about to perform emergency surgery. Perhaps he was. Of course, Leo, I didn't mean to mess up your day. Of course you did, love. Why else would you come rushing in here at lunchtime on a Friday without an appointment to help world peace? Holy guiltily bit her lip. But I wouldn't do it for anyone else but you, love. Thanks. How have you been? He rested his skinny little behind on the counter facing Holly. Leo must have been 50 years old, yet he didn't look a day over 30. His honey-colored hair matched his honey-colored skin, and he always dressed so perfectly. He was enough to make any woman feel like crap. Terrible. Yeah, you look it. Thanks. Well, at least by the time you walk out of here, you'll have one thing sorted. I do hair, not hearts. Holly smiled gratefully at his odd little way of showing he understood. But Jesus, Holly, when you were coming in the door, did you see the word magician or hairdresser on the front of the salon? You should have seen the state of the woman who came in here today. Mutton dressed as lamb, not far off 60, I'd say. Handed me a magazine with Jennifer Aniston on the cover. I want to look like that, she says. Holly laughed at his impression. He had the facial expression and the hand movements all going on at the same time. Jesus, I says, I'm a hairdresser, not a plastic surgeon. The only way you look like that is if you cut out the picture and staple it on your head. No, you didn't tell her that. Holly's jaw dropped in surprise. Of course I did. The woman needed to be told. Sure, wasn't I helping her? Scanning in here, swanning in here, dressed like a teenager. The state of her. But what did she say? Holly wiped tears of laughter from her eyes. She hadn't laughed like this for months. I flicked the pages of the mag for her and came across a lovely picture of Joanne Collins. Told her it was right up her street. She seemed happy enough with that. Leo, she was probably too terrified to tell you she hated it. Who cares? I have enough friends. Don't know why, Holly laughed. Don't move, Leo ordered. Suddenly he had become awfully serious and his lips were pursed together in concentration as he separated Holly's hair ready for coloring. That was enough to send Holly into stitches again. Ah, come on, Holly, Leo said in exasperation. I can't help it, Leo. You got me started now. I can't stop. Leo paused in what he was doing and watched her with amusement. I always thought you were for the madhouse. No one ever listens to me. Holly laughed even harder. Oh, I'm sorry, Leo. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't stop. Holly's stomach ached from laughing so hard, and she was aware of all the curious glances she was attracting, but she just couldn't help it. It was as if all the missed mirth from the past couple of months was tumbling out at once. Leo propped himself back on the counter and watched her. You don't need to apologize, Holly. Laugh all you like. You know, they say it's good for the heart. Oh, I haven't laughed like this for ages, she chortled. Well, you haven't had much to laugh about, I suppose. He smiled sadly. Leo had loved Jerry too. They'd teased each other whenever they'd met, but they'd both known it was all in fun. Leo snapped himself out of his thoughts, tousled Holly's hairs playfully, and planted a kiss on the top of her head. But you'll be all right, Holly Kennedy, he assured her. Thanks, Leo, she said, calming herself down, touched by his concern. He went back to work on her hair, putting on his funny little concentrating face, which started Holly off again. Oh, you laugh now, Holly, but wait till I accidentally give you a strippy head of color. We'll see who's laughing then. How's Joe? Holly asked, then keen to change the subject before she embarrassed herself again. He dumped me, Leo said, pushing aggressively with his foot on the chair's bump, sending Holly higher into the air and causing her to jerk wildly in her chair. Oh, Leo, I am so sorry. Oh, you two were so great together. Yeah, well, we are not so great together now, Missy. I think he's seeing someone else. Right, I'm going to put 2 shades of blonde in, a golden color, and the blonde you had before. Otherwise, I will go that brassy color that's reserved for my prostitute clientele only. Oh, Leo, I'm sorry. If he has any sense at all, he'll realize what he's missing. He mustn't have had any sense, so we split up 2 months ago and he hasn't realized it yet. Or else he has and he's delighted. I'm fed up. I have had enough of men. I'm just going to turn straight. Now that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Holly bounced off the salon with delight. Without Jerry beside her, a few men looked her way, something that was alien to her, that made her feel uncomfortable. So she ran to the safety of her car and prepared herself for her parents' house. So far, today was going well. It had been a good move to visit Leo. Even in his heartbreak, he worked hard to make her laugh. Holly took note of it. She pulled up to the curb outside her parents' house in Portmarnock and took a deep breath. To her mother's surprise, Holly had called her first thing in the morning to arrange a time to meet up. It was 3:30 now, and Holly sat outside in the car with butterflies in her tummy. Apart from the visits her parents had paid to her over the past month, Holly had rarely spent any proper time with her family. She didn't want all the attention directed to her, the intrusive questions about how she was feeling and what she was going to do next being fired at her all day. However, it was time to put that fear aside. They were her family. Her parents' house was situated directly across the road from Portmarnock Beach, the blue flag bearing testament to its cleanliness. She parked the car and stared across the road to the sea. She had lived here from the day she was born till the day she moved out to live with Jerry. She had loved waking up to the sound of the sea lapping against the rocks and the excited call of the seagulls. It was wonderful having the beach as your front garden, especially during the summer. Sharon had lived around the corner, and on the hottest days of the year, the girls would venture across the road in their summer best and keep an eye out for the best-looking boys. Holly and Sharon were the complete opposite of each other. Sharon with her brown hair, fair skin, and huge bosom. Holly with her blonde hair, sallow skin, and small chest. Sharon would be loud, shouting to the boys and calling them over. Holly would just stay silent and flirt with her eyes, fixing them on her favorite boy and not moving them till he noticed. Holly and Sharon really hadn't changed all that much since. She didn't intend staying long, just have a little chat and collect the envelope. She was determined to end her silent self-torture about what could be inside. She took a breath. She took a deep breath, rang the doorbell, and placed a smile on her face for all to see. "Hi, love, come in," said her mother with her usual welcoming, loving face that Holly just wanted to kiss every time she saw her. "Hi, Mum, how are you?" Holly stepped into the house and was comforted by the familiar smell of home. "You on your own?" "Yes, your father's out with Declan buying paint for his room. Don't tell me you and Dad are still paying for everything for him." "Well, your father might be, but I am certainly not. He's working at nights now, so at least he has a bit of pocket money these days, although we don't see a penny of it being spent on anything for here." She chuckled and brought Holly to the kitchen where she put the kettle on. Declan was Holly's youngest brother and the baby of the family, so her mum and dad still felt they had to spoil him. But their baby was a 22-year-old studying film production at college, and he constantly had a video camera in his hand. What job has he got now? Her mother rolled her eyes to the heaven. He's joined some band, the Orgasmic Fish, I think they call themselves, or something like that. I'm sick to death of hearing about it. Holy, if he goes on one more time about who was there at the gigs promising to sign them up and how famous they're going to be, I'll go mad. Poor Deco. Don't worry, he'll find something eventually. I know, and it's funny because all of you darling children, he's the least I worry about. He'll find his way. They brought their mugs into the sitting room and settled down in front of the television. "You look great, Pet. I love the hair. Do you think Leo would ever do mine for me? Or am I too old for his styles?" "Well, as long as you don't want Jennifer Aniston's hairstyle, you will have no problems." Holly explained about the women in the salon and they both rolled around laughing. "I don't want the John Collins look, so I'll just stay clear of him." "That might be wise. Any luck with the job yet?" Her mother's voice was casual, but Holly knew she was dying to find out. "No, not yet, Mom. To be honest, I haven't even started looking. I don't quite know what I want to do." "You're right," her mother nodded. "Take your time and think about it, what you like, or else you'll end up rushing into a job you hate like the last time." Holly was surprised to hear this. In fact, everyone was surprising her these days. Perhaps it was herself with the problem and not the rest of the world after all. The last job Holly had was working as a secretary for an unforgiving little slime ball in a solicitor's office. She had been forced to leave her job when the creep failed to understand that she needed time off work to be with her dying husband. Now she had to go looking for a new one. For a new job, that was. But at the moment, it seemed unimaginable to go to work in the morning. Holly and her mother sat in a relaxed atmosphere, falling in and out of conversation for a few hours until Holly finally built up the courage to ask for the envelope. "Oh, of course, love. I completely forgot about it. I hope it's nothing important. It's been there for a long time. I'll find out soon enough." They said their goodbyes, and Holly couldn't get out of the house quickly enough. Perching herself on the grass looking over the golden sand, Holly ran the envelope over her hands. Her mother hadn't described it very well, for it was not an envelope at all, but a thick brown package. The address had been typed onto a plain sticker, so she couldn't even guess the origin, but most importantly, above the address were two words, thick and bold: "The List." Her stomach did a little dance. If it wasn't from Jerry, then Holly finally had to accept the fact that he was gone completely from her life, and she had to start thinking about existing without him. But if it was from him, though she would be faced with the same future, at least she could hold on to some fresh memory. A memory that would have to last her a lifetime. Her trembling fingers gently tore at the seal of the package. She turned it upside down and shook the contents out. Out fell 10 separate tiny envelopes of the kind you would expect to find on a bouquet of flowers, each with a different month written on them. Her heart missed a few beats as she saw the familiar handwriting on a loose page underneath the pile of envelopes. It was from Cherry.